Urzincha, Somasuji reaction. This is Internet versus Ocean, the essential wires we never think about. Well, channel J Foreman. Yes, J Foreman is like a really great channel. It's a British channel. I've seen like a Mapman type of videos. The London, Unfinished London or something. That's also a great series. Tells you about a lot of things about London that you don't really think about, or you don't know it if you're not from there, I guess. And yes, some topics like this also they do it, and it's really great. And this is really interesting for me, at least, because for a long time I didn't know how internet worked. I didn't know there were literal wires going through oceans, right? I don't know, I just assumed it's going to be through satellite or some shit. This was a long time ago, before I really understood anything of how any technology works and things like that. But yeah, obviously now it makes sense. But yeah, these are literal wires that go through ocean floors, right? All around the world. We are literally connected through wires. When you see your broadband wire coming to your house, like, oh, look at that. Isn't this inefficient? Why are there wires everywhere? Can we do wireless? No, we can't. This is just better, right? Transferring data through a concealed specific spot that is basically wires, through wires, is much more efficient than just out there, like Wi-Fi's and shit, like signals. Right? This is much better, much faster, I guess. So yeah, I often wonder, like, how do they repair it? Like, if there's some damage, like, how are they going to find it out? How are they going to repair it? It's insane. But yeah, I obviously Jay Foreman's going to go deep about that in just 10 minutes video, which is like surprising. That video is somewhere like 10-15 minutes length, but they do it surprisingly well during that time, I guess. So yeah, that's what this one. Remember, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out the reaction, there's a link in the description, and yeah, let's watch it.
Can you imagine a world without the internet?
Yes, and it was marvellous.
Yeah, it is.
Welcome to Mapmen.
We're the men.
And here's the map.
Mapmen.
Oh, this is part of Mapmen? Look at all the fucking wires. Seriously, like they say, like, can you imagine the world? And yeah, certain things would be much better. Not just certain things that might threaten fundamental of society, democracy and freedom all around might have been better without the internet. But then again, a lot of things wouldn't be where they are without the internet. So it's always like give and take type of things. Like, internet is really essential. Like, information became essentially free and fast because of internet. So that's kind of important.
Although most of us use the internet at least every other day, nobody understands how it works.
All we know is that it's very big, very clever, very important, and impossible to show on a map.
Then why are we doing an episode about it?
Because I was lying. Take a look at this map. It shows all the undersea cables that connect the world's computers, and looking at this map reveals a surprising amount about how the modern world works.
Whilst we can't wait to show you all the weirdest and wonderfulest bits of this exciting chart, before the geography lesson we need to put the globes that fell off the wall back on the wall and then give you a quick history lesson. For the vast majority of human history, a message could only travel as fast as a human, meaning it was normal to wait days or even months to receive a very important message.
Very slightly faster methods did exist. Smoke signals, water clocks, beacons, flags.
But these only worked for predetermined messages. If you wanted to send a completely original thought, such as Thursday my dungarees fish basket hollybobs, that was impossible. Until...
In 1777, a French chap called Claude Chappe invented a way to send long-distance messages using an alphabet made up of symbols that could be seen from a very long way away. On a hilltop, one person operated a machine that could rotate the position of two large sticks.
And on another hilltop, a second person would copy the shape, relaying it onto the next hill, and so on, until it was finally decoded at the other end.
Chappe called his system the telegraph, from the French télégraphe, from the Greek télégraphe.
It was now possible to send a message from Paris to Lille in just 12 minutes rather than the usual 12 hours.
Sacré bleu.
At its peak, the French telegraph network looked like this.
This is the earliest example of a physical network built to transmit information at high speeds across long distances. It was the beginning of the internet.
So why aren't we still...
Basically in 12 minutes. Oh, wait a minute, what happened there? Oh, there you go. Stupid Elgato capture card. It's like premium. It's going to be, if anything, it's causing me more problem than the cheaper one I had before, unbranded one. All right. Seriously, like about now, in just 12 minutes instead of 12 hours, somebody can tell other person that they suck. Basically, just shit posting each other in 12 minutes. Everybody doing the stick things just to tell each other, like certain duke of place telling some other prince of some place like how you suck. Basically rivalry through telegraph.
using mechanical telegraphs today?
Bad question. The flaws were obvious. It only worked in the daytime, it only worked in good weather, and it required lots of highly trained workers who were vulnerable to mistakes and bribery.
Thankfully, long-distance messaging took a necessary huge leap forward in the 1830s, when a pair of British inventors had a much better idea: the electric telegraph.
Yep.
The electric telegraph sent pulses of electricity across copper wires that could be stretched pretty much any distance. It was the beginning of the internet. A contraption like this, which by the way would be an awesome clue in an escape room, was used to convert these electric pulses into almost every letter of the alphabet.
And then a very clever man called Samuel Morse, named after Morse code, invented an easy-to-learn alphabet made up of and.
Morse code was a massive improvement. It only needed 2 Ys instead of 6, you could finally send messages quickly, and you could finally spell quickly.
Morse code became a vital tool for the military, government, railways, journalism and big business. But if Morse code was going to achieve the absolute world domination it was surely destined for,
Imagine somebody learns Morse code and tries to communicate through Morse code, like even the tapping on the table, just as a douche. Imagine people's response like, what the fuck are you doing? I get it, you learn Morse code, now shut the fuck up.
final hurdle had to be overcome.
The Wet Susan.
The most significant advance in telegraph technology came in 1850, when the aptly named English Channel Submarine Telegraph Company
Boring.
nervously laid the first cable under the sea, desperately hoping they wouldn't electrocute all the fish.
To the relief of haddock
mean, the
everywhere,
amp
it
wouldn't
worked.
be
The
the
world's
highest, so it
first
wouldn't do
submarine
that.
telegraph in the English Channel successfully allowed communication across the sea between 2 countries. It was the beginning of the internet.
By the mid-19th century, 2 enormous networks had grown in Europe and
By
America.
the way, the insulation is like one of the best invention of all fucking time. Because, you know, that Nikola Tesla was trying to patent a technology like wireless energy transfer. Like basically how our Wi-Fi and things work. Not through wire, but wireless. Like you need to understand how fucked up that is, right? Like if the energy is strong enough to power anything, let's say even a bulb, and if it's wireless, which means if you come in the way of this transfer, you're gonna get electrified or whatever the result is through this energy transfer, right? Best and safest form of energy transfer is through wire. Now exposed wires is also fucked up. It can touch water, it can touch a person, and that's it. So insulation really insulated, and also say that this energy transfer made it one of the best form of any energy transfer, whether it's information or literal energy transfer like electricity and things. So whoever come up with the insulation was the best invention of all time. Because open wires, like sure it works, but it's like there's a risk there. There's always going to be risk there. Insulation solved all those problems.
The next logical step was to connect these 2 networks together. But the Atlantic Ocean was very, 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 very big.
Insanely
Nobody
vast.
knew how telegraph technology could traverse it.
Until, that is, an American businessman with a beard and no moustache, called Cyrus Westfield, finally figured it out.
We need a very, 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 very long cable. But laying a very, 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 very long cable under the ocean presented some unique challenges.
It took several failed
Are you gonna
attempts to
anchor
lay
it?
a cable that worked. The first cable wasn't long enough. The second cable snapped, the third cable fell in the water, the fourth cable wasn't compatible with the fifth cable and couldn't be joined up in the middle.
Finally, 4 years later, Cyrus's first transatlantic cable was complete.
On August the 16th, 1858, Queen Victoria sent the very first transatlantic text message, reading,
Glory to God in the highest, on earth peace and goodwill toward men.
and it was sent to President James Buchanan. At just 2 minutes per letter, the message was received in little over 17 hours. The cable stopped working after just a few weeks, but it didn't matter. The technology was proven possible.
The very same cable laying technology was used to lay more and more cables all over the world, each one more reliable than the last, which grew into the phone network, which grew into the internet. It was the beginning of the internet.
Seriously, like any technology that sucks at start is nothing. Like if concept is good enough and if you keep at it, it's gonna be better. Like mobile cameras used to suck. Like if you compare it to DSLRs and anything, people would laugh at you. You still can't compare it with DSLRs on mirrorless today. But look at Apple, right? Look at iPhone, how it works. You look at even the Google Pixel, basically, right? And many of these phones, their sensors and cameras are not good enough compared to proper cameras. But their software and artificial way of correcting things to at least human eye would be as good as a mirrorless camera. Like if you dissect it, you realize that this is all fake. All the information is kind of fake. It's all like processor guessing shit. But in the end, a simple iPhone in your hand can give you a picture same as a professional photo would, even better, because sometimes professional cameras needs correcting, color correcting and everything. iPhone will just do everything for you with that processor, same with Google Pixel and all the different phones. But at the start, like imagine the early cameras. I still remember this singular camera that just was like, if you try to shoot anything at night, even the evening, forget it, it's just going to be dark. Even at the day, like, oh, look at that, it's decent enough. It was like a gimmick. But look at it now. So anything that doesn't work but has a good promise, it will be better.
Cable laying is done pretty much the same way today.
Drop it in.
Only nowadays, when the cable's nearer the shore, they tend to
Bury it a bit.
for good measure.
But the one big difference is what's in the wires.
A modern subsea internet cable is about as thick as a human garden hose. The business bit carrying the actual data is a tiny bunch of fibre optic cables.
It's coated in a protective layer of polyethylene, copper sheathing, aluminium or steel wires according to taste, and lovingly smothered in Vaseline.
5 minutes and 17 seconds to cover the entire history of long-distance communication, and we didn't miss a single detail out.
What about radio?
Which means we are now finally ready to take a good look at the gorgeous map of all the undersea cables that exist today. Any regrets?
No, not really.
What about buying these cheap parachutes?
Oh yeah, apart from that, yeah, that's probably the main one. What about you?
I regret that I never turned my big idea into a business reality.
Oh, what was that?
A fail-safe parachute that can't get twisted.
That's a nice idea. Why didn't you follow through with it?
Well, it was all a bit big and scary. And anyway, I never could find a good, easy-to-use e-commerce platform that worked for me.
Oh, why don't you try Shopify? Shopify is an all-in-one commerce platform that makes it super easy to create an online store. You just sign up and Shopify has everything you need to make a beautiful website, add products, set prices and deals, and handle inventory. Whatever you're selling, Shopify makes the business of growing and managing a business super easy.
Isn't mapmenmerch.com powered by Shopify?
It is, yes. Just goes to show, even a pair of absolute dunderheads like the Mapmen with no technological know-how whatsoever can cobble together some t-shirts, mugs, posters and stickers and sell them to customers all around the whole wide world.
What's a dunderhead?
If you've got something to sell, why not click the link in the description below to take the first step to starting your own business using good old Shopify.
There, I've done it. Parachutesafety.net is open for business, thanks to Shopify.
And it was as easy as falling out of an aeroplane. Shopify! Don't wait to start your big idea.
This
With no
delightful,
technical-
colourful map from
I like how
telegeography's
there's a with no technical know-how and yet they're explaining all these complex topics.
submarinecablemap.com is a true map of the internet.
Look
It
at
shows
those
all of the
wires.
552
Damn.
and counting undersea cables which allow very different parts of the world to use the exact same internet.
What is so surprising that oceans are really, really big, like insanely big. Like it makes entire countries like looks like nothing. Look at all those long wires going through. How, like if something gets damaged, how are they going to know it? Like how are they going to scan it?
There is, of course, a much denser network of wires over land. After all, landlocked countries deserve the internet too. But it's nowhere near as interesting to look at.
Some of the unlikely routes on this map reveal that it's cheaper and faster to lay a sea cable even when a land route is available.
Such as these ones that bounce around the outside of Africa and South America, this one that goes all the way over the top of Russia, and this one that goes from America to America.
The clear, clean and most
I mean, if you want to go through country, yeah, ocean is going to be the best way. Just like how ocean pathways, maritime pathways are the best way to transport anything rather than going through land. Less, hassle, less resistance of any kind. It's just open sea.
mostly straight lines of this undersea cables map, ignoring Southeast Asia, strikingly show which parts of the world are most interested in which other parts. North America and Europe, for example, have got way more cables connecting them than seemingly necessary, reflecting the huge amount of cross-continental commerce and communication that goes on between them.
Whilst data from Australia to South America is happy to take the more scenic route.
So it's perhaps no coincidence that this map so strongly resembles maps of major flight paths and shipping lanes.
It's also no coincidence that countries with the fewest cable connections tend to be the world's poorest. Just one cable serves the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Sierra Leone and Liberia. But does the number of connections you have, and to whom, actually matter? Wouldn't one cable each be plenty of internet to be going round?
Sadly not. These cables are susceptible to breakage due to sabotage from hostile countries, earthquakes and being eaten by sharks. So it makes sense to have at least a couple of spares.
In 2022, the Shetland Islands became even more remote when their key cable was shredded by an overzealous fishing boat.
I'll tell you who the killer was. It was?
Ah, Duncan must be home.
More importantly, the cables under the sea carry about $10 trillion worth of financial transactions every day.
And if those cables failed, nobody would be able to buy pink suitcases, funny hats, teddy bears, or basketballs.
So if these cables are so completely critical to life in
mean-
2023, or whichever
I'm pretty sure there are alternatives through satellites, right? Like how Elon Musk is that satellite thing that gives you internet access. Obviously, not going to be as fast and as efficient as that, but it is just like some alternative. And there are people like Musk basically is trying to create a network like that. Like if all the wires fail, this satellite arrays basically will keep internet going somewhat, so you won't go completely dark. Obviously, defense agencies like U.S. Defense and people already have this kind of satellites that would work seamlessly anywhere with the any kind of location, internet or whatever, because they can't rely on wire.
year it is where you are, shouldn't we be worried about who actually owns them?
Yes, we should, because increasingly these cables are being built by a very
It was the beginning of the internet.
small handful of powerful companies.
Google, Microsoft and Meta have spent billions of human dollars building their own massive private cables.
And this matters, partly because we all then become dependent on these largely unregulated companies for a crucial piece of 21st century infrastructure, but also, can we really be sure these tech giants aren't listening into their fancy hoses to collect yet more of the valuable private data belonging to you and me?
I mean, people don't give a shit. Let's be honest, right? People like, but I don't care, and they just click on whatever like funny meme they have. This is the one thing I've noticed. People are like screaming on top of their head, like, "Oh, privacy issue." People are like, "How do you know what things I want to buy? Why are you listening to what I'm trying to shop?" And no one cares, right? People just like, "I don't care," and just moves on. Like, I have nothing. Now this new thing, I have nothing to hide. People literally say that, move on. They don't understand the principle of it, like why people are angry about this. There's like practicality of it, like I don't have nothing to hide, I don't care, and they just move on, which is like something okay. It kind of makes sense. Like if you can do nothing about it, if the companies do own it, and if even your government, like doesn't matter what you do, is gonna listen on you, what is the point of like punching the sky basically? It's like there's no point now.
With so much of our daily technology use now wireless, be it the phone in your pocket or the router in the awkward bit of the drawer next to the TV, it's important to remind ourselves that the internet is not some invisible benevolent technology. It still requires physical things, servers, wires, data centers.
Everything requires
It's
physical.
particularly telling that we refer to the mysterious netherworld where all the world's computers connect as the cloud, when it's actually on the bottom of the ocean, the opposite of a cloud.
So, next time you send
Yes.
an email, stream a TV show, or listen to the audio only of 20% of an episode of Mad Men with the video minimised and a tab in the background, remember,
It's been through a layer of Vaseline.
I think the point of cloud is that it's implied that you're going to use cellular data, basically using cellular towers. So it's just implied that you're going to use this kind of microwaves or whatever, right? To basically, ping back and forth from cellular tower rather than using your in-house Wi-Fi, which is like a broadband basically with wire. So that's where the cloud comes. Like this signal is going through the cloud, so it's in the cloud, even though it's going to the cellular tower. I think that's where it comes from. But yeah, I'm pretty sure most people don't realize like there are literal wires going through oceans. They would just think like, okay, maybe there are wires here, but at the main server they might be jumping back and forth from satellites or something, and they're probably thinking something similar. But yeah, it's literal wires. That's insane. Alright, well, that was Internet versus Ocean, the essential wires we never think about by channel J Foreman. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. If you want to do more J Foreman video, definitely comment down. And yeah, I'll see you next time.